So, welcome back to the weekly recap video. This is now, I think, the third time to try to make this video because always something is happening, like my wife is cutting the power, is making strange noises, is dying in her room, and. So, if you hear anything in the background, I am not doing it now again. Just saying. So, I am always using this method as always. If you want to know more, I made a separate video for this whole thing. I will link it at the end of the video. Or you just search for the playlist for Fractal method. Okay. Then let's start with buy. So, as always, two versions, bullish and bearish. Just without any fractal version. This is our A, our little one, which we made on Friday. And this whole thing here is our A. So to what could we compare this? In my opinion, we could compare this little thing and this whole thing to some ways. The first, the little one, we could compare to this. That's also where maybe the bearish alternative is coming, but to that later. Or we would be in this one right here. So this would be just this. And we would be right here, or maybe already right here. So for the fractal method, yeah, we did A. This here, maybe, is already our little A pullback. With extended hours on, you see, we already made a little pullback and ran. It's not a 0.5 pullback, because normally what you're doing, you're taking the bottom, the peak, and you would come down here. But that's micro tracking. It doesn't have to happen. If not, our next target would be 683 for B and just up. And the thing that this whole thing is just A, our B is over A, somewhere in here. For the big one, we should get a 0.5 pullback. So let's say, I don't know, 698 is our peak. Then we would come up, 0.5 pullback, and even go higher. For the two alternatives, well, we didn't got an A pullback, a small one. So in that case, we should see on Monday here pullback to this trend line, or just a 0.5 to 675. And then, or the absolute worst thing would be that still this was our peak, this was our lower high, and we go down. Way more down. For levels, well, our next level is 683. If we break that, in my opinion, you won't stop here. You will just go up. For levels to the downside, did we close the gap? No, we didn't. So in that case, you're still bullish level would be here, 673. If you go down to the downside here, that would be bad. So how could we confirm this? Well, first of all, we could look at NASDAQ. And for NASDAQ, we already broke the T line for A, but we also already broke the B line with M. So, yeah, I'm not saying there is no chance for downside, but this looks just absolutely bullish. Perfect for a Santa rally. And the next thing is VIX. So the tracking before that was just this here. This peak was our T, and this whole thing would have been high low. But For this, we are too low. We break this levels, we are too low. So for this, the only thing I could imagine is this is our T. But for this, VIX has to go down here. So we have at least to break 15 of 1491. But only doing this little tiny thing. In that case, we should at least break 14.33, 14.33, yeah. And in my opinion, maybe even lower. And if this moves by just reps, just saying. So, yeah. Everything looks primed for a Santa rally next week. Let's see. Okay. Then what? Let's look into the normal stocks. So first, aircraft mining. No. Wrong. Bad cable. So, doesn't matter what you're doing here again. If you're doing the symmetry tracking or my tracking, for the symmetry tracking, you're just taking the sparse pattern and flip it here. That would look like this, and we're still tracking quite perfectly. With my tracking, we're right now in B, still without pullback. So in my opinion, we could easily be in this range right now. Why? Just because let's look at regular hours and we try to find significant points. In that case, we have here a gap. So was that gap already in the past? And the only thing I found on lower time frames is here. So it could be that we just did this gap and are in this run up right now. In that case, you would get something like this pullback here. How would that look like? Well, if you copy these sparse patterns back here, then we would be right now in something like this. Yeah. Maybe a little bit higher, a bit lower pullback. This would be then really your B and your B pullback. And yeah. Overall, it's still the same. Our target stays up here. 31 to 44, 45-ish. Something over this trend line. This would be then our A. And there you will get a pullback. So you have here your low. Wherever it peaks, you do the 0.5. And this will be then your pullback. This pullback. Yeah? So still looks perfect. Let's see what happens. Next one, BlackBerry, because someone wished it. So first of all, it's a very, very small, not small, slow tracking stock. So even with shares, you're parking money so long in this. So tracking wise, there's a big possibility that on July 2024, you finished this whole fractal. Like here was this whole thing before October 2002. This was just higher low. And since then, we're just making A. Or this was your T, and here would be your M, and this is just higher low. Could make more sense because this whole thing is ending in a V under A. So it makes more sense that this whole thing is just a big higher low. And that's the problem with this thing, because if the higher low is already 26 years, you could imagine how big A and B will be. Just for this one, you have your V, your high, low, A, B, C. Here's your lower high. Here's your M, perfect, aligned with your B line. You fall under it again. You come up, this is your T. And after that, you made a new low, which is also your V and A. And right now, we're doing the micro high low of this big thing. Is this micro high low already finished? If you look at this, you have here your V. This is your tiny high low. Here's your A. Here's your A. Here's your A bottom. Here's your B, your C. Somewhere in here is your lower high. Here again, you have your perfect M, a B to M line with you bounce on it, you fall under it. And the next time you're retesting this line, you're rejecting it. So the main problem with this is that this M here isn't finished. To finish this M, you have to come under this line. We didn't do that yet. So the next moves doesn't depend how long it takes. It has to go under this. And after that, you will bounce again. This will become your T. And then you have to go under the point where you started your T. And then you will do your V and A. Then you're finished with this higher low. And then you start with your A, B, C again. So whenever this is finished, something under 261, your next target in, I would say, a few months is A at your T line, around $30. And the move then would look like something like this. Yeah. But right now, in my opinion, you're somewhere right here. You still have to come up for your T. Then you do your V. Then you start. This will take time. Just saying, it will. Okay. Next one, new. 2 versions of it. So the first one, the bullish one, is both are bullish. You already finished your big B. You are right now in the run to big C. And we are doing the A pullback right now. So 2 versions why. The first version would mean your A pullback is finished. Why? Because A is pulling back to the 0.5. So in this case, you're taking from your B to your peak, fall back to the 0.5 and bounce on here. So the A pullback in that case would be finished. And if we look at, this is just a little tiny higher low of this whole thing. That would mean that same V, somewhere in here is your higher low. This here would be a tiny A. This would be a tiny C. And this would be a tiny B. And in that case, we even have to go lower. Yeah, in that case, lower high, midpoint, T, V and A. So in that case, you should go up. The only alternative I have for this, and I'm leaning more to this, is just, this is clear A. Yeah, I said this could also be higher low, but for me it's still clear A because you have already your higher low here. But in 2020, you did the same thing. V, higher low, big A, pull back to V and A of the whole thing. In that case, you still have to go under 437. And then you go. You did the same thing. your A, your head and shoulders, and drop V on the A. If you look at 2020 here, that's the same move. V, higher low, big A, head and shoulders, V on the A. Same thing. And here you see it's only went under, what was it, a few cents. That's enough, but you have to go under this line. So in that case, still, I'm waiting for a few cents under 433.8. Yeah? No way around it, in my opinion. Okay, next one. Plug, also 2 versions. Here. So, for plug, we already finished the complete first one. And for the bullish version, we already finished the big high low. For the bearish version, we are not finished. So we start with the bearish one because it's a shorter explanation. For the bearish version, our last peak was T. In that case, we still have to come down here. We are not allowed to break all-time low because this whole thing is a higher low. But in that case, we have to go here under 44 cents just to finish the higher low. And I'm more tending to this, just saying. For the bullish version, our T was here. And we are doing the same like Neo. In the best case, the A. And in the best case, we bounced here at the 0.5. And doing a tiny high low right now. But also with this is not finished yet. Because you clearly see you have here your V. Here's your high low. This is your tiny A, tiny B, tiny C. We might already did our lower high. This could be already our M, but still we have to come down here, go up to our T, and still have to go to 186. And then we can go. The alternative for this, look, is still, this isn't A, because we are near the T line, fine, but we are under the trend line. And for this big thing, we didn't really do a higher low right now. This tiny thing here, yeah. So in that case, this whole thing would be a higher low. And the higher low is ending in a V and A. And in that case, our last peak here was just T. And that would mean we still have to come down under 1.03. And then, yeah. And then you would still do your A, somewhere in this range, break or retest, same like Neo. And then your next target would be 31 for B. Yeah. I'm leaning more to this one. Let's see what happens. Okay. Next one is user. The first one, which is already breaking in its perfect tracking. So for user, we only have one fractal. This whole thing here is just one, which we already finished. Next big price targets would be for A 880 and for B 20,000. But you won't get there without a split. Just saying. And if you don't do a split, this is your rejection target. You will come up here and then die. Just saying. For the tiny tracking, just for this one here. Yeah. Also perfect for Neo and plug. You have here your V. You have here your higher low under the trend line. You finish the higher low in a V and A. Perfect. You broke out. You came near T line made your A peak, fall back again, made a breakout retest, this time also beyond A, and in the moment you finish this, you broke out. So for this, we already did our A, our tiny A. The only problem is this pullback here. I would more lean like that we didn't do B yet, and this is still A, because B isn't pulling that harsh back to A. And for what we are looking for in the future, we are right now in this pullback. Whenever this pullback is finished, our next target for big B is 165. Can we compare this to anything? Yeah. In my opinion right now, because I looked at it today again, I thought all the time we are already in here. Sorry. Still a little bit later. But I really think we could be in this right now. So can we confirm this? We look. We have a gap here. And when we look, we also have a gap here. So in that case, I'm pretty confident that we already did this gap. We already did this peak. And right now we are in this fall right now. So if we suddenly, no, wait. No, not this gap. We already did this because this is our A. Sorry. No, I'm talking about this gap here. And in that case, we would be already in this pullback here. So let's see. If we suddenly see a gap up, well, then we're doing this. And as I'm already showing all the time, this is what we expect. I'll make it a little bit way too big. Make this a little bit smaller. Yeah. And we're doing this right here. It'll be interesting. Okay. Next one. BLNK. So here's our BLNK chart. For BLNK, we are already in the third fractal. This was the first one. This, what we, for the bullish tracking, already ended, was the second one. And we are right now in the third one. So for the, we also start with the bearish one. If we're not finished with this, then our last peak here in October was just our T. In that case, our target is something 40, 33 cents-ish. And it would take more time. For the bullish version, right now, we did our bottom in April. Since April, we're doing our higher low. And in that case, we should already finished our higher low in a B&A. And since then, we are just doing sideways. Because you can't even call that higher low doing right now. We are right now just range bound till we break on something we are waiting. For price targets and for levels. If you break under 76 cents, it's getting shitty, because then the possibility that you're really going to the 40-30 cents mark is quite high. If you break over 85, then we should see big moves. What big moves? Just the thing what I showed before. Where is it? We should see this move here. Our next target for A is something over 370, somewhere in this range. For B, it's 26. Always a pullback, always a 0.5 pullback. And then the only question is, are we breaking all-time highs or not? Okay. Next one, SAVA. This time the full version. So why are we looking at SAVA? At SAVA, we're only looking because the shitty company is, first of all, it's a 100% risk play. And second of all, this company is always doing gap down, bullshit, gap up. 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 And what we are tracking right now is gap down, bullshit. And our gap ends at 25. So, for tracking wise, for the bullish one, this fractal is completely finished. Entry right now in the higher low. And it's taking way longer than I wanted it to be. But this higher low is so close to be finished. Because if you look, we have here your B, here higher low. This is your A, this is your B, this is your C. Lower high, midpoint, T. And if you look, we are 7% away from V and A. 2.044 is our V and A. We have to go. There is no, we could bounce here. No, not anymore. We have to go under 2.4. We have to. So in that case, next week is a short week. Just saying. And short weeks normally are red weeks for certain stocks. And yeah, I think in the best case, we see this on Friday. Perfect. Only 1 cent under 204, doing a little higher low. And you have a good chance, no financial advice, that you see a massive run latest January. I'm not saying you should play January. I mean, the contracts are already completely dead, so who cares? Go 4, 5, 6 months out. They're still absolutely fucking cheap. And we're tracking this for what? So if we're doing this V&A, we're tracking this for a 1,181% move. Just saying. The only alternative I have is that this whole thing isn't finished. And in that case, we would be somewhere in here right now. For this, if you break under 175, you will make a new low. The next month you will do this and this here. And your next chance, because I think it will get there. It's just a question when. And then this would be March to June, something like that. No? Right now, it still looks good for nearly finished. Let's see if we get a bounce here. Okay. Next one, Unity. So here the full tracking. I'm still pretty convinced that we did our A peak now already. Just for transparency, and because I'm always ranting about other predictors, my first thought was that this was A. And this was already the A pullback. With this bounce and the break of 47, this is not possible. So this was our A. So again, this here could already be our L. As long as the L is not breaking over 52, this is still our L. Then we have to come lower, come up, for our M, lower, come up for our T, and then go to our 0.5 at 26-ish. But in the end, we have to end here. 0.5 from the absolute V to the top. This is our target. Before we go to our B at 108. No way around it. Okay. Next one, open. Here, open. Also for open, we already finished the first one. We are right now in the second one. Fractal. And for open, we already did, as you see, our A with the A pullback, and are right now in the B pullback. For the B pullback, I always saying I have two versions and three versions, the bullish one and the two bearish ones. With this drop, I think, especially with this break here, the bullish one is gone, so only the two bearish one. The absolute bearish one would be that this B pullback is absolutely not finished. Here is your 0.5. You have to come down here, bounce, and then you go. The only more bullish bearish version would be that you're repeating the pullback of A. And in that case, you see this hump which went over T. That means that this was this, and this little hump here is this little hump. But even for this, you have to come lower than this a tiny bit, and then you go. Yeah. Levels wise, I can't show you anything, because when I say, yeah, if you break this, you have the possibility to bounce here or go down. This isn't helping. Only for the upside. If you break 70, 78, yeah, then this is why ever finished. And we go to our C. And the C is just, are you breaking all-time highs or not? Yeah, let's see. Next thing, C3i. Also here, like Minecraft mining, you could track it with symmetry, where you just take this, flip it here, and read it from right to left. In that case, you would be right now somewhere in here, and you still have to do this here. So it would look like something like this here right now. In that case, you would most likely be right now in this pullback here. For my tracking, you right now finished the second fractal in a perfect V&A, and right now you're just doing high-low. Is the high-low already finished? Yeah. So in that case, you already have your V, your high-low, your A, here is your B, your C, lower high, midpoint, T. In that case, this is already V&A. This is already a little tiny higher low. You might still have to do the bigger one, but without the sideways idea, this could be finished. Levels wise, you shouldn't break for bullishness 13.22. For the upside, everything over 70.43, and you go. Yeah. For price target, so how it would look like, it would like this one. And for price targets, your A is at 30, your B at 36, and the only question then is, are you breaking all-time highs? And will it do this? Oh, not all-time highs. Are you breaking this peak and go to all-time highs, or are you rejecting here? If you're rejecting here, then yeah, death spiral continues. Okay. Little look into grab, not because you can make money on it, just for the study. So grab already finished its first fractal here, and since then, since 2022, we are in the second one, and it gets slower and slower and slower. This is just our higher low. This is just our A, and we didn't even finish A yet. In that case, you still have to come to your 0.5 at 380. And this little peak here is still your T. So you still have to come down here. If you're doing this, I don't know how long this could take, but easily months. After you finish this, your next target is 10. And if that is so attractive, I don't know. Okay, next one. GNS. Here the full chart of GNS. This time with the full explanation. So also GNS did its complete first fractal, and this in April 2025 was our V. We already got our A peak, in my opinion. Whenever the A pullback is finished, our B is at 6.7, and then it's only the question: are you breaking all-time highs or not? Sounds stupid, I know. For the A pullback, it's a quite weird A, just saying. Also, especially with this candle here, but still working. So you have here your A peak, which is your C. This is your lower high. This whole thing is your M. And now is the only question, did we already T? So for the case that we already did T, this tiny thing here was your T. And in that case, this was already your V on the A. And what we are doing right now is just the higher low. Is the higher low already finished? Well, in that case, in the best case, this is your L, this is your M, and here the prop. Did we went lower? Yeah. Okay. So with this here, M is finished, but we still have to do T. So in that case, this should be T. You have to come lower than this here, so lower than 62. And this would be then your V and A. And then you're ready to go. The only alternative right now I have is that this here wasn't T because it's so fucking small that this was your T. In that case, you have to come lower than 53. And this would be then your V and A. Then a tiny high low, and then you go. Yeah. The only thing you are not allowed to break is 34. If you break this thing will delist and die. So let's see. Okay, nearly last one, FFAI. This time also the full explanation. Here's the chart. So, also April 20 this year was your finish of the complete first fractal. For the macro landmarks, your A is at 153 and your B at 5,000. Again, you won't get up here without a split. You can get up here, but only with a split. If you're not doing a split, your rejection level is in here, and you will just die after that. For what we have done till now, yeah, well, we did our V, and also here, perfect example. After the V is always coming the higher low. This higher low is already finished with a V and A again, and since then we're doing this little tiny higher low. Is this little tiny higher low finished? I mean, if you really want to micro track that, yeah, you have here your V, your higher low, this is your A, your B, your C, this is your tiny L. Tiny L is finished with this one here. This has to be M. So you still have to come lower than this, come up again. And I mean, that's the 1 hour chart, just saying. This would be a T. And then you still have to do the V and A. Something under $1.02. And then you're ready. Yeah? Also here, you're not allowed to break under the Noro line under 87 cents, because then it's just over until listed. Yeah. Or we could still track it. I don't know. Maybe it goes then to 30 cents. And, yeah. But it gets so uninteresting then. So right now, it still looks like it's absolutely fucking very close. And I would imagine a January run. And the thing is, this is tiny micro tracking, this little higher low here. But normally, when FFA is doing a V and a higher low, after that it runs. Also here, V, yeah. V, higher low, boom. Also here, V, higher low, boom. V, higher low, boom. So it should be quick. Okay. Last one, bull. For the bullish tracking, the first fractal is finished with the low in November. And right now we're just doing the high low. Next target for A would be 19, for B 33, and then the only question is, are we breaking all-time highs or not? For is the higher low already finished? Let's look. Yeah. I already said here, we have a gap here, and for the higher low to be finished, we have to go under this. And still everyone said, no, we can go on. Higher low is ending in a V&A. And I already said, when we do the V&A, we will fill this gap. So for the higher low, you have here main V, your little higher low, your A, B, C, lower high, midpoint. This peak here was our T. So in the best case, this is now the ending of the higher low. This already is the micro higher low. And from here on, it's upside. If not, and you fall under 813, you will make a new low. Don't know where, and then you would start the higher low again, and so on and so on. The problem right now here, down here, is nothing. We have nothing here. So if we do that, we have to wait for the next higher low. Yeah? As long as we are not going over $12, there's nothing else than waiting that the higher low is to be finished. Just saying. Okay. So, if you have questions, write it in the comments. If you have wishes like BlackBerry, for example, also write it into the comments. And if you liked it, leave a like. Let's see if we're getting a center rally next week or not. And if I get enough gunpowder from other YouTubers again to rant. So, let's see. See ya.